I think they mostly stuck the landing. I was not crazy about season 5 as a whole. Season 1, then season 4, then I would say season 5, season 2, season 3.
A couple months ago, I was saying I doubted that the Duffer Brothers could stick the landing, but that I would absolutely be the first one to come on the break room and apologize, and I will not be giving that apology.
Welcome back to the Break Room. Happy New Year's. And what better way to start the new year off than with a classic headlines episode. Hit that graphic. 11 lives. Okay. Joining me today, I'm Zach Huddleston, of course. And joining me today, straight from Dimension X, it's Gina Ippolito.
Don't ask me why the Demogorgons weren't there. You don't want to know.
Okay. And we just pulled the weird meat plug out of his mouth to wake him up. It's Erik Voss.
Put it back in! Put it back in! I want to be connected to the hive mind, to feel his feels.
Finally, just a sense of community. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we all don't want to feel so alone.
If I've learned anything from Pluribus, it's that.
Yes. So today on this episode, we're going to be talking the finale of Stranger Things and what's to come in that universe. We're going to be talking a little Wonderman ahead of that series premiere, maybe a little DC news, maybe a little House of the Dragon. Who knows what might else come up. But let's begin with the topic at hand, kind of maybe the thing that's been dominating the cultural zeitgeist with some Doomsday teasers and some Avatar Fire and Ash mixed in there. The finale, the final 3 episodes of Stranger Things season 5 and the series as a whole. Let's kind of start with like our big picture takeaways, things we really enjoyed, things we think they did a good job with in the finale. Erik, you have a breakdown coming out on the new Rockstars channel tomorrow. You've already written and recorded that.
Not yet. I've written and recorded part of it, and then I have more that I'm writing after this is done. So I might have to duck out a little early to get into it. Yeah, we're talking about what worked before we get into the rest. I think they mostly stuck the landing. I was not crazy about season 5 as a whole. Season 1, then season 4, then I would say season 5, season 2, season 3. Season 3, a lot of people really like, whatever.
It's the 4th of July. That's
the 4th of July.
Billy the lifeguard.
You don't like malls?
It gets kind of crazy. The Karen Wheeler Billy subplot was just wild. But whatever, that's where it just transformed into a different show. But I think there was a lot in season 5 that I really, really, really did love. A lot of just like fun, climactic moments, iconic moments. I didn't mind the big bad battle with the kaiju form of the Mind Flayer. I really liked how it circled back to the D&D game and Mike having this fictitious fan theory. And I do consider it fictitious. I know a lot of you believe that 11 is still alive. And if you believe that, that's fine. I think the show wants you to be able to believe that. But I personally think it's just a better show if she did die. And I think it's very tragic and sad for Mike Wheeler, but I think that makes it a more mature, better show. I like that kind of approach. I will say that them deciding to do that was not the most strategic move for their fan base, because I think the people who are most open-minded about that are the people who want 11 to live. So like they're the ones who are turning on the show now. And you have things like Conformity Gate that are just like going to some bizarre places, almost to the point where I want them to be right, but I don't think they will. But yeah, I like that Jonathan and Nancy had this breakup scene. That was like, I think, my favorite scene of the final season, that they were emotionally honest with each other. I love a good unproposal scene. I thought that was great. I love using Prince and Purple Rain in anything. As soon as you get those opening chords of Purple Rain, I start tearing up. I thought that was great. I don't know. It just made me feel nostalgic for the past 9 years of my life. But I do recognize it was a deeply flawed final season. And the more the Duffers go into interviews, the more I'm just like, yikes, guys. You don't need to do so many interviews. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Gina, I know you have strong opinions.
Well, I will say that, like, a couple months ago, I was saying I doubted that the Duffer Brothers could stick the landing, but that I would absolutely be the first one to come on the break room and apologize, and I will not be giving that apology. Yeah, but we're starting with things that we liked. I thought Dipshit Derek was great.
Yes.
Great addition. Great little kid. I liked the look of the melty room.
Yeah.
Jamie Campbell Bower is a good actor, and that's where my list ends.
I will say
The Goo,
go number one with the bullet.
JCB, and Dipshit Derek.
I like that a show like this, that for the most part, the finale was very kind of fan service isn't the right, but like happy ending ish, right? Like I like though that they did end with some ambiguity, like the L thing. I like that there was some ambiguity there, and they didn't kind of just paint a pure kind of like happy ending picture, at least for her and around Mike and the whole crew. I love a bittersweet thing, and like this was sweet, but like with a little bit of bitter, and I appreciate that because this is a show about like messed up stuff that happens to kids, right? Like they've played that. That's been their note that they play every season, right? Like the fact that these kids get put into danger constantly and get their way out is part of like what creates the core drama and propulsive nature of the show. And so like I appreciate that it's not like, well, anyways, back to school. You know what I mean? Like I like that there's at least a sense. I would have liked even more of it, but that like these people are going to carry this with them for the rest of their life. Right? Well, at least Mike. Maybe everybody else seems pretty chill.
I will say, if we're talking to Welcome to Derry, yeah, I had that sense that those kids are going to be carrying that and they're dead good friends for forever. This seemed like they were like, graduation, bye.
Yeah. Max graduates despite being in a coma for the past 2 years. How does this skateboarding badass graduate high school in 1989? The work she must have done.
Also, what kind of school is going on during the government quarantine? Did we see any of those kids? I mean, the younger kids were in class, but not. And like Dustin was going to school at least a little bit to get bullied. But like, I mean, there's a lot of outside of class things. We didn't see a lot of homework.
There's a lot happening off screen, the Duffers might say. I think I don't have a problem with that rationale from a showrunner saying like, just because we didn't see it doesn't mean it didn't happen. And you can imply a lot, or you can infer a lot from 18 months later. I would have liked some scene to explain how the military hasn't arrested all these kids. Nancy Wheeler killed at least 3 human beings.
The military returned to their home planet, never to be seen again. Erik, it happened off
Clearly. Pure Poochie on Stranger Things finale. Well, I mean, and both Hopper and Nancy have pretty high body counts in this season.
Yeah, Hopper's back being police chief despite being like in a Russian prison and presumed dead. The number of people he's killed.
Yeah, I mean, also Nancy not affected by how many people she's murdered.
No, she's
like,
fine.
Anyway, I work for a newspaper now.
Because especially when you think about it, and whatever, this goes back to like the classic like stormtroopers and like tradesmen killed on both Death Stars argument or whatever. Okay. But like other than Dr. K, who is the embodiment of evil, and the one Scarface soldier guy, whose name escapes me.
We never got any real details
Lieutenant
about either
Akers.
of them.
Thank you, Erik, who seems like a bad egg himself. Everybody else is they just took a job. You know what I mean? They were following orders, and they get shot by a teenage girl.
I like how at some point Linda Hamilton's like, we're having reinforcements brought in. And my question would be like, did the other guys coming in hear about the teenage girl with the assault rifle? And that's why it's taking
or
so
even
long?
the superpowered teenage girl who's like throwing dudes 50 feet in the air.
Or the superpowered teenage boy also in the mix.
Yes.
And then the other random superpowered teenage girl who can cast illusions. Like, there's a lot of reasons I wouldn't show up to work that day. It's, look, I think this is a show that is highly analyzed, highly scrutinized. And this is something that like we run into with the MCU as well. I think Stranger Things when it comes to streaming shows is as big for people who watch Netflix shows as like the MCU has been for film nerds. And like, yeah, you're with a fan base this ravenous, they're going to find hundreds of little things that are like, wait, that wasn't followed up with. Wait, this is inconsistent with that. Will's birthday, milkshakes at Melvald's, the coma, the pregnant women still left behind. All the criminal things that these people did. The Turnbow's still tied up in a barn somewhere. Like there are hundreds of these, and I'm telling you, we have all seen and lived through dozens of these shows. Lost, Breaking Bad, Mad Men, Game of Thrones,
you
Buffy.
just listed like a series of great shows I mean, one of those had a not so great finale,
Game of
but like a
Thrones.
series of at least 3 of those 4 shows were well-written shows by showrunners who knew what they were doing. And to me, this is not in that same category.
Well, and like, I think that's what we're talking about. And Erik and I were talking a little bit this morning. It is one thing for a show with a relatively finite cast and scope, like a Breaking Bad or even a Sopranos or something like that, just picking 2 of the greatest TV shows ever made. But like, to kind of nail the ending, because they don't have 1,000 plot threads they necessarily have to tie up, or they're less like concerned with lore or world building. They're telling a couple character stories, right? And like, I think the hit rate for shows like that tends to be pretty high when they are allowed to kind of wrap up on their own terms. Sometimes shows get canceled and don't really get to have a series finale.
Yeah.
Shows that have gigantic scopes, and particularly completely original shows. Now, say what you want. It's taking from a lot of pop culture derivative, but like they are inventing any lore that exists and characters, right? Whole cloth.
But
It's not
this
based
to
on
me is
anything
why
else.
it's so frustrating, because they were given an insane budget by Netflix. They were given a wide berth by the Netflix execs, and they are not good writers. And so for sorry, I mean,
Pew, 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 pew.
but they're like, what they are is they are good at pitching. They had a good pitch. If anyone, you can find the pitch online, the original pitch for the show. It is a good pitch. It is a well done pitch. They had a well thought out 3-season arc. And then they needed to like hire writers to help them fill it out. And for 1 season, they sort of hit that mark. But that's why it's so frustrating, is because almost no one else is given the berth that they were given. And they didn't need to have 1,000 threads to tie up. Like, they could have focused on the main cast. They could have focused on the main story. But in the last season, to start introducing like all of these new things, that was 100% a choice that they made. That wasn't an exec being like, hey, why don't you throw 10 little kids in there whose names we don't bother to learn, who also like beat up a little girl and then we forgive her immediately. Like,
Hey, you said you liked Dipshit Derek.
I love
It was
him.
great. A highlight of the
him.
5th season.
All those other 11 kids, I was like, which kid is this? What
You got
kid just,
Thomas, who called her a bitch.
Like, yeah, like,
pushed her down the stairs.
I know.
What?
And then like 2 scenes later, they're like, we're best friends. We're playing D&D together. Like, I don't think he
You
was
have
one
Mary,
of them.
Mary, Debbie, Thomas, and then Josh, I think, is one that she had a crush on. Yeah. A lot of randos, for sure.
Just randos and random stories.
Some of whom end up getting pulled into the D&D game at the end, right?
But not Erica, which drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Erica should be DM of that
No,
group.
but she was probably several years older than the
Yeah,
rest
but
of those
she
kids.
could
right?
have her own friend group.
She should be the Eddie Munson of this new
we
group.
saw her when
Oh.
Erica is first introduced in earnest in the mall, where she's like sampling ice creams. Great scene, by the way, where Robin is like, you've sampled like 30 ice creams, and she's like, I'm the customer, and like she's like, you saw her with a little entourage of kids. You could have slowly over the seasons introduced us to a couple of Erica's friends, so that at the end she's in the basement with her
Well,
friends.
they
blah,
really
blah,
needed
blah.
her to be the 7th teenage science genius on the show. You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah, you're right. Erica is older, but we don't know. This actress is actually like 30 now. What I will give them credit for is, I don't know if it's the Duffers or Kate Treffery, because she co-wrote the play.
Mm-hmm.
I like the reveal of the Upside Down as a wormhole bridge. I like it in
Cool.
shows
Yes,
where they
cool.
can show a wormhole and it's actually tactile and it's fleshy and gross and
Yeah.
it makes sense in the logic of the show. We got a nice wide shot the way that Loki gave us a wide shot of time in the tree form. I thought that was cool. What writing wise, I have to fault them for like including details about the play and making people feel like they had to go see the play.
Yeah.
And then just for the finale
Saying,
to like say, oh, well, Hopper and Joyce aren't going to bring up the fact that he was their classmate. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, then okay, then what are your rules?
Well,
Because you included a play flyer that had Henry Creel as
Yeah.
Curly in Oklahoma. So like, why would you include that stuff? Why do they have to go back to 1959 in this memory?
Why does Max even have to? Yeah, why does Max even have to say like that's Joyce right there? Like, why hang a lantern on it? I will say, I think in my estimation, the Duffers are guys who have great ideas and are too lazy to follow through on them. Because and that's what drives me crazy, because there are other people who are sort of like not given that opportunity to be lazy. So it's like, when people are asking these questions about like what happened with this and what happened with that, and they're like, I don't know. it's like usually there is a person in that writer's room that's like, hey, like continuity wise, blah, 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 which means that they either didn't have that person or actively ignored it because they're like, no, we want to get to the next cool thing. We want to do this cool thing and then that cool thing. We don't care how you get to that next cool thing.
Or potentially we're overwhelmed, but we're too afraid to ask for help. Or too proud to ask for help.
That's the thing.
They had 3 years too.
Here's the thing. I think that if those guys were partnered with a very experienced showrunner, a very experienced genre showrunner, say what you will about them, but like a J.J. Abrams type. If it was like, hey, like, or like, a
Lindelof type.
Lindelof type. Like if they said like, hey, these guys are really green, but they've got a great pitch for a TV show. Let's give them a really experienced showrunner.
I mean, not showrunner, but I mean, in theory, they were pitched with Sean Levy, though he's not a TV guy.
Not a TV guy.
Yeah.
And not really, I do think that he probably brought something cool to it, but like an actual showrunner who had seen a show that has a lot of lore from start to finish would have done wonders because that showrunner would have been like, hey, you can't introduce 10 new characters in the final season. You just can't. Like, that's not, like, no one wants that.
And I want to shout out, there's some great comments coming in. Producer Brian's doing his best to accumulate these. Snowden94 on Twitch saying, also, nobody died, or at least nobody that we cared about. Apologies to Kali.
11 did
11 in the finale.
11 did die. I know that you're saying that it's up to interpretation, but like, okay, that's fine if you want to interpret it that she's still alive, but in the same way that like, Christ died and it's okay to be an apostle saying that he might have some immortal life in return in some way. But you have to, for that to matter, he has to die.
But whether or not you believe that she died or she lived, which I think cases can be made for both, it is a pussy ass move not to definitively make that choice. The fact that it's not, that they didn't just say like, okay, she died. Also, like a lot of the criticism online is the fact that like, hey, the only 2 people you killed are the abused little girls who like never had families and weren't loved. But then everyone else in a nuclear family in the show gets their whole family to survive. The fact that every Wheeler survives is insane. So like it's already like a little bit problematic if you're saying like, Kali and 11 are the only ones that died because they are the 2 most tragic characters. And the fact that they're the only ones who don't get a very happy ending is very sad.
I'll give you that other people should have died in addition to them, but I do think those 2 characters did need to die in order for the world to be fixed.
Yeah,
they're anomalistic freaks that break the world.
The fact that Murray survived.
Yeah, Murray should have gotten killed ages ago.
Even like the fact that Hopper seems so happy at the end of the show.
Yeah, I mean, the dude has been suicidal since his original daughter died, like since his his daughter died, and now he lost another daughter, and he's just supposed to be like, we're going to Montauk.
I agree, and like, I would have liked, I think like, and there's so many other great comments we're going to get to in 1 second, but like, I think, there were a lot of highs in this season, and I thought like, I liked some stuff about the finale, but like, it felt a little padded. It felt for like, of the 7-ish hours.
To devote like 1 hour to a graduation is insane.
Yeah, it felt like not enough plot, not enough happened, not enough was revealed.
I don't
kind of justify the length.
All that.
There was a lot of like recap and repetitive stuff, whatever. In like when we get to in the penultimate episode, Will's coming out speech, and you pan to the rest of the room, and there's what seems like 100 characters standing in the room. Yeah. It's like including like Erica, which maybe he has a relationship with Erica,
but it's like, does. And but Murray and Vicky, he doesn't really know that well. But my thinking is, I was going back and forth on this too, because I'm like, that's in 1987, an odd choice. But I do think like his thinking is Vecna's going to weaponize this secret against me and against everyone going into battle with me. So just to get it out in the open, anyone who might be involved in this battle somehow, who, I don't know, it could hurt me in some way. It's better if they know.
But again, not clear reasoning. Like if he had said, if like Vecna had said like your greatest fear, your greatest secret, your greatest shame or whatever. And then he had been like, you know what? I'm not ashamed. I'm going to come out to my friends. Now he has nothing over me. Now I'm mentally clear. But the fact that like he came out and he was like, yeah, this is the moment. And then like he wasn't like unblocked or anything. It wasn't like Vecna was like, no, like, why you took away my one thing. It was again a cool idea that had no follow through and no payoff.
Yes.
And that to me was what this was, a series of cool ideas with no follow through.
I'll also throw one last maybe Duffer slander out, right? Like there's been a lot of.
No, I've got a lot more.
Yeah, Gina could literally go for hours. But like there's been a lot of criticism of some of the acting in this final season, some of the acting choices, there's been some screen grabs, some whatever. And you know what? Like, to give the benefit of the doubt to all of the actors on this show, when there are multiple actors in a series being criticized for bad acting, like ultimately, maybe that's not their fault, including like good actors like Hopper and Eleven who have done excellent work in previous seasons, but had some kind of questionable work in this season. Like ultimately that is also the responsibility of directors, and the Duffers directed several of these episodes, right?
But Frank Darabont also directed some of these episodes.
Yes.
One of our best directors.
Yeah.
I mean, Hopper's monologue was strange to me because I was like, seems like he's a little checked out. Like the monologue that he gave about like, you're gonna live also didn't pay off. She like, he gives her this whole speech about like, no, you have to live because like I already lost one daughter. And then again, he was like, well, she's dead. Back to Mount Top.
Yeah.
18 months later.
And I will also say, like, who knows? We may sometime soon get some like tell-alls about like what was really going on there. Obviously, there's some drama between Millie Bobby and you know what I mean. There was some behind the scenes stuff, and like maybe the nature of the film. This was an incredibly long filming process for the final season, delayed by strikes, right? So it's spread out even over more time. There's some vibes in some of these scenes of like, these people are really tired of being here, you know?
Yeah.
I think the Duffer Brothers and everyone involved in this show are reflective of a lot of people who are successful in this industry, both on the studio side and the streaming side of it's not about telling a great story anymore. It's about generating IP that just connects with streaming subscribers.
And this is why I'm so angry about it. I think the fact that this is like indicative of like, if you like, I've been rewatching a couple shows. I like rewatched the season 1 of The Pitt, R. Scott Gemmell and John Wells, and I've been rewatching BoJack Horseman, and the amount of stuff that they layer in episodes that pay off episodes and episodes later. I realize neither of those are genre shows, but I frequently rewatch Lost or Batman the Animated Series. And these are shows that like you see how much effort these writers put into this. And to me, this genuinely seems like two brothers got drunk and were like, wouldn't it be cool if there was a 15-minute coming out scene and like everyone was just like chill with it, and then what if he like breaks Vecna's leg? Is that cool? Is that a cool idea if he breaks Vecna's leg? And you're like, oh, okay, but you have to like sit down and actually like work really hard and put this into a story. And they're like, well, what if he just breaks Vecna's leg?
I mean, it didn't strike me as drunk, I'll say, but it did strike me as like feeling restrained. It felt strained. It felt like we have to do this because we can't do these other 4 things. Like it felt like we have to pay off Will and his arc because we backseated him in season 4. So if we don't do this, they were afraid of some fan base online coming after them. But you don't realize when you make any choice, a certain contingent of the fan base is going to come after you.
Also, I think that was the right decision. I think like Will, like coming out to his mom and his best friend would have made perfect sense to me. Do I think it was overwritten? Yes. But like to me, they lost the thread of their characters. Like they were so concerned with like what looks cool and like, oh, cool, like mythology building. But like anytime you pitch a TV show, it could be the most lore heavy crap you have ever seen. And the first thing the execs ask you is like, oh, what's the character arc? Like, even if it's a time traveling, blah, 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 wibbly wobbly, it's like your character has to start here and end here. And like these characters, it seemed like started here and then ended like no matter what, like in a happy, like not emotionally traumatized place, like, Max like skateboarding and stuff like that. Like I was like, what was her character?
Well, except for
arc?
Mike.
Like,
Mike is scarred. Mike is still scarred. I mean, he's someone who will always be scarred. And that's why I like the ending for Mike.
You kind of talking about, pitches and lore and things like that. There's also some somebody on here asked.
I'm sure they're all disagreeing with us.
Well, at least the comments that are getting captured by producer Brian are relatively positive. I want to talk about what's next for Stranger Things, but also gotta go Bam. Who of the Stranger Things cast are you most excited to see branching out into other projects going forward? I will say Finn Wolfhard, who we've talked about, who I thought was one of the better performers this season. He's like already directing.
Oh, he's doing music too, right?
Very smart move to like diversify his.
Yes. I mean, I believe we are getting another Enola Holmes film in 2026.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's more Millie in our future.
We're going to have a lot more Sadie Sink in our lives.
Yeah.
I think to me, she would like even with sort of what I consider not great writing, every scene she was in, I was like, she's really good. Like she is really good. I thought same with like Jamie Campbell Bower. I was like, every scene this dude is in, he's crushing it. Those two to me are the best. I mean, I'll love Winona Ryder until she's like a skeleton and they're puppeting her to be in like,
Weekend at Bernice.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but yeah, like those two to me, even in like an overall weak season, I was like, these two are crushing.
Yeah, and I will say Joe Keery.
Joe Keery's great.
Had a good season too, and like every scene that Steve's in, I'm kind of charmed.
Joe Keery was excellent. Nell Fisher, I think, has a
Yes.
great future ahead of her. I thought she was great as Holly Wheeler.
I think you should cast Dipshit Derek in everything.
Dipshit Derek.
I would watch that kid like just like eat a peanut butter sandwich and be like, this kid's hilarious.
Yes. And then, so let's use that to pivot into what's next. So the Duffer Brothers have kind of very publicly signed a deal with Paramount. They're going to be pivoting to film sometime soon in a different studio. They're like leaving Netflix, so that deal doesn't kick in for a little bit. And any Stranger Things based IP stays at Netflix, where they will continue to produce stuff. We are getting an animated series, Tales from '85, this year, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
26.
already completed.
And then a kind of more, less details are known about another live action series set in the Stranger Things universe. We don't know much about. There's some rumors, and I don't know that will be 2026. That might be sometime beyond.
Yeah, they have said that it will not be set in Hawkins, Indiana. It'll be in a different decade. It will not have any of the main characters from Stranger Things in it, or any of the characters, I think. It will concern this rock that Henry Creel found in the suitcase that contains a portion of the Mind Flayer. We don't know what the hell that thing is. It's a mineral, Marie. I don't know what it is. But weirdly, they're like, we can't answer that in this show. Answer it in this show.
I mean,
it's big
everyone
enough.
knows that the best story elements are ones you introduce at the 11th hour and then never explain.
Well, that's true. But I got to say, just the base pitch of there's magic rock in a suitcase and people that encounter it get messed up. Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So we'll see. There's some rumors that it might be in London. It might be set in London in the 90s.
Tax credits.
Yeah, that's what it is. I wanted it to just be Montauk. Like, if you're going to do another show, I think a Joyce and Hopper spinoff in Montauk would be kind of fun. Like, do an X-Files type thing.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that. They're not going to do Montauk, they said.
Yeah,
They won't
yeah,
have Joyce
yeah.
and Hopper in it.
Yeah, I like the idea. Again, that probably won't happen. But like paring down the cast to just focus on a few people and maybe like narrowing the scope of a show and maybe even doing a limited series that doesn't need to go multiple seasons.
But then you have to like really prove that you're a good writer and you can do character arcs. And like, I'm curious to see what happens. I did see a really funny tweet online that was like, guys, just go rewatch Gravity Falls instead. And I was like, yes, Gravity Falls.
Or go watch Dark. If you're already on
Yes.
Netflix, go watch the German series
Yeah,
Dark.
yeah.
It's so good.
Now, this animated Tales from '85 will be about the same characters, I believe. Does it take place between season 2 and season 3?
Correct.
Is
Yes,
it 1985 animated, but it's Will and Dustin and Lucas and the gang getting into presumably upside down related hijinks. That's kind of an interesting concept.
Yeah, the art looks cool. I know
yeah.
Netflix is the animation team over there is very excited about it. So
Yeah, we'll see. I wonder if it'll be a Christmas time release, because season 2 was around Halloween of 1984, and then season 3 was in summertime of 1985. So you could have like a Christmas 1984 story.
Interesting.
It could be kind of fun. We'll see.
how mad are people at me in the chat?
Well, again, Brian is
people are feeling.
filtering these heavily. I will say some interesting takes here. Spidey Sensei 72 on Twitch saying Nancy Wheeler needs to travel the world and solve crimes like the Punisher. I mean, she has a similar body count to Frank Castle, so
You know
that
how
would
she
make a lot of sense.
solves crimes.
Yep. Nope. But as a journalist, she will do it.
Yeah.
Pantsuit over on YouTube saying, I'm clearly older than you guys, but the nitpicking about the details around the end of the series and the end of 11 kind of reminds me a lot of when Darth Vader saved Luke Skywalker. I guess was the public discourse criticizing that plot choice. I
will acknowledge, I think there is a different reaction. If you in our office today, some people saw me wearing this shirt. We're like, yeah, we loved it. And then anytime
some is a generous word there.
Yeah, but if I go online, it's like universally negative about it.
Yeah.
But I do think if you were to stand outside of AMC and talk to the people coming out, I think there was a positive reaction to it. I mean, look, this even got a higher IMDb rating than episode 7 did. We're not talking about Game of Thrones finale here. We're talking something between Game of Thrones finale and the Lost finale reaction. It's not universally positive. Yeah. It's not universally negative. It's somewhere in the middle. And I think it did. Look, I think Stranger Things for a lot of people has always been just like nostalgic IP. It's not a great story. It's just like, hey, this reminded me of E.T.
Yeah, this is the E.T. moment. This is the Goonies moment.
That's always been what it is. And it's had some moments of great character moments. It's had some moments of great storytelling. But overall, has this ever been Breaking Bad?
No, which was why I was thinking they wouldn't I would have been shocked if they had nailed the finale. Yeah. I would have been like, whoa, where was this for the previous few seasons? And
even much more experienced, quote unquote, talented showrunners and writers have failed to stick the landing on shows.
Of course.
And again, that's our opinion that they failed, or some people's opinion that they failed to stick the landing. To Eric's point, members of my family loved the entire thing, right? And you're allowed, if you're watching this and why are these assholes so negative? You are accurate. And you're allowed to have your own opinion.
I hate being negative about stuff. You guys, I like to defend Eternals on here all the time. I hate being negative about stuff, especially because I know how much work goes into making a TV show, and you just want to kill yourself by the time you are done making a season of TV. This is it's just frustrating to see two dudes sort of, in my opinion, being lazy about a job that so many TV writers are out of work right now that would give their every tooth in their head to nail a finale.
And I think the concern is with Netflix taking over everything, that they're going to look at the numbers they get from this and just try to repeat this with other shows like Wednesday and Squid Game and not learn the right lessons from this. And we're just going to get more even more in the direction of just IP feelings rather than stories that challenge and excite us.
Yeah. And maybe now's a good time. Sarah Hedgedorn on Twitch saying, "What is conformity gate?" Oh, Sarah. Google that.
Sarah.
I'm actually glad.
Summer Sarah.
Sarah, I'm glad you have not heard about this.
It's as Erik mentioned, it's a conspiracy basically built around a collection of plot holes from the final season, but ascribing to those some kind of grand conspiracy plan, possibly perpetuated by the Duffers, that there is going to be more Stranger Things, that this was a false finale. There was going to be more stuff. You can look into what it's a lot on TikTok, what some of the people are saying, kind of some of their crazy. There's even stuff people are going through and being the finale wasn't registered as a finale with certain services and how it's listed. And again, things that were
there were other scripts that were written that which is giving these guys a
probably
lot
just
of
clerical
credit.
errors and simple mistakes, and it's not part of a grand thing.
The idea is that maybe on January 7th there will be a surprise 9th episode or an announcement of an entirely different 5th season. Yeah. For the amount of money they clearly spent on these episodes, there's no way Sarandos would let the Duffers do that.
We purposely put out a bad a bad finale that we released in theaters that hurt our reputation,
and that
just so that several months
clearly wrapped things up.
Yeah,
does not. Yeah,
and for a large portion of the fan base, they liked it.
Yeah,
so you'd be pissing off all those people if you did that.
It is.
So that's just. But it is hilarious to see how this conformity gate is coming together. Honestly, if you go down the rabbit hole, you're going to be convinced. You're going to be like, oh shit, I do want this to happen. That sounds cool.
Very clever, thorough TikTokers are making it seem very plausible.
Yeah. And look, they're doing the kind of work that new Rockstars does.
Yes.
So I can't say it's all pointless.
We are of a stripe with these people to some degree. Yeah, though we don't go so far as.
But just say we've been here. We remember when Game of Thrones finale came out and everyone's like, no, there's going to be another episode. We remember when Secret Invasion came out and it was there's going to be another episode come out. Yes. You just wait. WandaVision. People were kind of confused or dismayed by the finale of WandaVision when Mephisto didn't show up or certain things happened that they didn't like. And I remember people being convinced that there would be a 10th episode of WandaVision coming out the next day and finding all kinds of clues and evidence proving that would certainly happen. And it's not to the extreme that the Stranger Things conformity gate is hitting it right now. But like, it's just, we've been through it before. And all you sweet summer children, we love you. And we don't want you to feel so bad when this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, we all need to toughen up, much like the kids of Hawkins, Indiana, by watching many series that disappoint us. Thicker skin. Let me do a speed run of some comments here, and then we do need to move on. We got to talk a little Wonderman. Erik might need to go.
Yeah,
I don't know if you need to. And some of the other headlines. Seattle KO pointing out, why weren't there any Demogorgons or Demodogs?
They were off screen.
They forgot they existed.
They were off screen.
It was lunchtime. They were all eating. Meg 510 pointing out, I thought all the scenes between Dustin and Steve were some of the best. Yeah, obviously there's a lot of pairing off people. Some of the Nancy
good elements for sure.
Nancy and Jonathan scenes were really nice, right? Like when you got some of the pairings that had good chemistry, it really worked. Totally agree. Seattle KO pointing out, where was the rest of the town of Hopkins? Did they even know they were in peril? This felt like a COVID-y film shoot in that, like, I mean, the graduation big group scene, there were some others. There's obviously the big battle with all the soldiers. There's a lot of like, this was clearly a soundstage, and they did not have a lot of extras.
Volume 1, all the 12 kids, the classes, kids got taken, but yeah, it felt pretty small. Season 3, I think, was the last time. I mean, I guess the town of Hawkins was a big character in season 4, where they were all mad at Eddie Munson.
But they always sort of wrapped it up by being like, and there was a gas leak explosion. And you're like, oh, the government like swept this under the rug. I don't know how you.
Speaking of E. Jones 512 or on YouTube saying, the fact that everyone just bought into this earthquake is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, they seem pretty happy about it.
The big plumes of smoke at the end of season 4, never addressed.
Even in Dustin's valedictorian speech, there's not even a lot of lip service given. Like, can you imagine, not to invoke real life tragedy here, but like, you think in 2000 Columbine graduation, they're not mentioning some of the things that community has been through in some of their graduation ceremonies or whatever, right? Choose your own.
I mean, kids were murdered by Vecna.
Yeah.
Yes.
Their classmates.
That class would have been very small.
And this is not a universe with Men in Black, mind wipes, right? Like these people remember, even if people aren't thinking about dead bodies and upside down and demogorgons and stuff like that. Like they were under a government quarantine.
Some reference to like, it's been a weird like year, or like, oh, to those who couldn't join us today. Like, I mean, but this would have, I also didn't need an hour-long wrap-up. Like you could have done like a 2-minute wrap-up and not, I didn't need to see that graduation.
It was a true Return of the Kings extended edition epilogue.
Very much.
And hey, but if you've been living with Stranger Things, I mean, people who watch the extended edition of Lord of the Rings, we could use even more. I want to see.
Yeah, when you love it, you want more.
I want to see Gimli and Legolas go clear out other parts of the realm. You know, like I'm like, when's Erik going to plant that tree?
Sarah Hachidorian asking a nice final wrap-up question here about Stranger Things. What would you say is your general ranking for the show out of 10?
Of the entire show?
Well, you could give both Stranger Things as an entity and season 5 a number if you'd like.
Yeah, as an entire entity, I'm giving it a 3. Which is pretty generous. My initial knee jerk was to give it a 1, but everything about this is infuriating to me. Honestly, everything about it is infuriating to me. It's just for every reason I mentioned.
I'll give Erik the final word here. I would say Stranger Things as a 5-season show is like a solid 7 for me.
Whoa!
I had to watch the next episode.
What is Andor to you?
That's a 10.
So this is only 3 below Andor?
Well, I mean, here's what I say. Anything 5 and below, I don't watch. You know what I mean?
But we need to get better about, like, things can be 4s. Things can be 3s.
Yeah,
everyone keeps saying, like, 6 is bad.
No,
everyone's afraid
fair.
to give something a 6.
And, like, whatever. You can also ignore, I don't know how to rate shit. That's fine.
Okay. But, like, I think a lot of people would go higher than 7. Honestly,
yeah. And, like, but I will say this might be, like, one of my least favorite seasons. In fact, this might be my least favorite season of the 5 for many reasons we've already stated. So, like, I'd give this season a 3.5 or something like that. Yeah. Erik?
I would give Stranger Things as a whole, because, again, I loved season 1. I really like season 4.
Yeah.
So they take it up pretty high. And I didn't hate season 5 that much. I didn't hate season 2 or 3 that much. So I'd give it a 6. Maybe 5.5, but 6 overall. And then this final season, I rank it right in the middle. So I would probably give it a 5, right?
Yeah, if we were just ranking it on the first season, I loved that first season. Yeah. But to me, like, if you're gonna keep going, like, I gotta judge it. I gotta judge it by the sum of all of its parts.
That's fair. Yeah.
And the way you're looking at it is like from the beginning, this show was just IP repackaged. It was plot points and visuals from E.T. and the Goonies kind of repackaged in different forms.
Which all the way, by the way, is like, I fucking love nostalgia bombs. Like, I love it. I am that market for like E.T. and Goonies, and like I want to see things. Like I'm like, yay! Like, let's rewatch this, let's rewatch that. I mean, if anyone's watched my Witching Hour videos, like, you know that's like the '80s is like my sweet spot. So I loved that first season. I was like, ooh, yeah, nostalgia, blah, blah, blah. But like sort of simple story, like good character arcs, you know, like.
Real quick, knowing how this show ended, like part of the original pitch was that like they could keep doing this series as a more like American Horror Story style, telling different stories, but set in kind of old school retro vibes. I know we'll never know, but like, now knowing what happened to these characters, you know, they kind of stuck with these characters because I think they were so beloved.
Yeah.
Like, could you have been more interested in that alternate version of the show?
Yeah, definitely. I think if there was like this is like supernatural crap happening to people like across the US or something, like I'm on board, especially if it like, goes like year by year, 1984, 1985. Yes, I just think like for me, the whole arc of each character's story was so disappointing from a writing standpoint that like it's hard to overlook other stuff.
And like maybe some of the lore problems, some of the acting problems, maybe are less apparent when you can kind of switch out cast, you can switch out lore every season.
And I don't, you know, like I'm pretty forgiving of actors. Like it is insanely hard to cast kid actors that remain consistently good throughout their careers. Yeah. Like you for every like Macaulay Culkin, like there's, you know, like next door neighbor from Family Ties or something like that. Like
you mean Matt Shackman? I don't know. I
Macaulay Culkin doesn't need to act as an adult, right? He's not. He doesn't need to be a good adult actor.
Yeah. But you know, like it is very hard to cast like naturally good kid actors who stay that way and don't get. And also like this cast has been through like just terrible like online bullying and stuff like that. So some of the like, oh, this performance wasn't good, that performance wasn't good, I would have shrugged it off. And unsurprisingly for me as a writer, it all comes down to the writing. Like if the writing was good, I'd be like, oof, that delivery was rough, but what a great line. But this was like, okay, that delivery was rough. Also, what?
Also, what was that?
When Joyce was beheading him, why wasn't she like, you were a shitty classmate, I like hated you? Also, why is he 29 years younger than the actress he went to high school with? None of it makes sense, guys.
It's a little crazy.
Evil is like Botox.
Is Botox the ultimate villain of Stranger Things season 5?
I mean, I truly think at some point they're like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if he like went to like high school with them and no one was like, hey, that actor's like in his 30s. I don't know if that like works.
I think it's supposed to be like high school freshman versus high school senior. Having seen the play, I don't know if it totally works, but yeah, I do think an anthology approach. I mean, Ryan Murphy has proven that these anthology shows really do work on Netflix, specifically from the Monster franchise to the American Horror Stories franchise on FX. Going to different locations and towns in America that have some kind of local conspiracy theory, like having a season in Montauk, having a season where DB Cooper hijacked the plane, having a season like that could have worked really well. I don't know if it would have been like for the way
phenomenon
the phenomenon. Like, you can go crazy for these kids.
It probably wouldn't have built, and we wouldn't all have these like decade-long emotional attachments to these characters.
And it wouldn't have like. I mean, these kids are now superstars. Like they're marrying Bon Jovis. They're marrying New Jersey royalties.
They're marrying Bon Jovis.
Listen, as a Jersey person, that's
might as well be Prince of England.
You know, I think the reason I'm so disappointed is because the ingredients were all good ingredients. It just, you put it together in a soup that tasted like crap.
And we'll kind of get to have our version of that anthology with Welcome to Derry. The other show we invoked where there's going to be a time jump and presumably mostly new characters.
And Welcome to Derry wasn't all that great either.
I really enjoyed it, but also I'm a huge Stephen. Like I'm like rereading all the books and I'm like finding connections but like truly those emotional arcs were much better. Like seeing like Richie's like arc and sacrificing himself and then coming back as a little, sorry, spoiler alert.
That's okay. No, yeah. The kids suffer. People suffer on that show, and you do want your heroes to actually have to face consequences that they have to live with for the rest of their lives. You know?
It's not. Yeah, I didn't need to see like Max hanging 10 and then going to the movies with her boyfriend and being like, yeah, last 3 years never happened.
And I get to graduate. That's the craziest thing to me.
Yeah, remember my dead brother and my mom? We haven't seen in an entire season. Where are they?
That mom was not at the hospital.
What is that? Wasn't there a movie plot that was like if you're in college and your roommate kills themselves, you get
straight A's?
Yes. Was there a degree of that for all the Stranger Things kids?
Yeah,
where it's like, hey,
you killed a monster, we'll let you graduate.
Yeah, here's free diplomas for everybody. Okay, well we'll wrap our Stranger Things segment there, and I think
I
Erik
gotta
and I need
bounce to finish the breakdown. This has been great. Thank you both for being.
Thank you.
Don't
Erik.
send me angry DMs.
No, be nice to Gina. I mean, honestly, if you think Gina's being hard on the show, just go to anybody on Twitter. That's right. They're just harassing the Duffer Brothers directly. You weren't sick, you liars.
And I think all of us, and Gina's done a good job of not saying that anybody that thinks other than her is a dummy or whatever, right? Like you're allowed to have your own preferences.
Not out loud,
and
at
taste.
least.
Yeah, she thinks it, but she's not voicing it. Let's talk a little bit. We wanted to get to Wonderman, which is dropping all of its episodes in its entirety, I believe on January 27th is the date. Coming up, that is going to be our first Marvel content of 2026.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it looks great.
It does look great. It's also like, speaking of like media bubble, coastal elites, it's very targeted towards us. It's shot in Hollywood. It's about an actor and entertainment industry.
But also like cast is amazing. They're really crushing it in this trailer. Also, whoever is editing Marvel's trailers, kudos to you.
Series and films are always top notch.
Really crushing it. Like give that one person editing trailers a raise. No, I'm sure it's an entire team, but like really they know how to edit trailers.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, we got a new trailer recently, maybe
over
yesterday. Yes, over the holiday break. We're actually going to watch it now, and then we'll chat about it a little bit more. Can you pull that up, Brian?
Oh, hell yeah.
Here's like 5 reasons I'm excited for this show. Okay, even just that score.
Oh yeah,
just gives that kind of like light. There's a little Curb Your Enthusiasm energy to it. There's a little like whatever that's very fun.
Yeah.
I mean, if you told me they're going to take basically the premise of Barry, one of my favorite shows in the last 20 years, right, and like kind of make it superhero-y and not quite a lot less dark and like whatever, right? Yeah. Great, like kind of kooky actor mentor with like young Ernest, wannabe actor. Like that's a fun dynamic.
Yeah,
it looks like lots of practical locations, and obviously in this trailer, I think we still have not seen that much of the show.
Right,
I wouldn't doubt if like 90% of that is the first episode.
I mean, it's just the premise, basically. It's just like, what if an actor who had superheroes like got cast?
That could be in the first 10 minutes of the first episode, right?
Truly,
but I love that. Also, I think slowly but surely, Marvel is like struggling their way to figuring out what makes for a good Disney Plus show. What should stay a movie?
Yeah.
What is maybe worth telling in animation, or what works? And like what should be set up to connect to a film, and blah, blah, blah. There's this whole like no homework error thing. Feels like this could be, best case scenario, the right mix going forward. This is not a story. It'll connect to DODC. We see some of that, but like no other Marvel character is going to show up here, nor do they need to. It's more just like, let's just follow some other characters in this universe.
Right. You don't need to watch 10, 20 other movies to get this.
And you will not need to have seen this to get anything out of Doomsday or whatever, right? Like, but this can be enjoyable on its own. I think that's the best case scenario for this, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, agreed. I do wish that they would like give it a weekly release. Yes. I think it's very strange, however Disney is making these decisions of like what's a dump and what's like a weekly release. And I think but it seems like the kind of show that could build up word of mouth. Like Yahya Abdul-Mateen is so good. And I think like a weekly release of people being like, "Oh crap, did you see this? It was so funny. It was so good." Like I would have loved that. So I don't love that it's like being dumped all at once, but I think you're right. Like the tone is like, it's such a clear tone. It's such a clear like kind of superheroes, but funny.
Yes.
It has like a little bit of like the Boys Light feeling. Like you're not going to go into that and see someone's spleen get ripped out, but it is going to be a tongue-in-cheek view of both superheroes and Hollywood, which is very the Boise. So yeah, I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, I think it's treading some similar territory to She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Both being set in LA and taking some characters that are existing and kind of having a comedic tone. Yeah. But obviously it also looks very different from She-Hulk in premise and tone and everything like that.
Also, we didn't see there wasn't a lot of CGI heavy, because I do think that that's sort of where some of these shows get in the weeds. Speaking of She-Hulk, if you're trying to do movie level CGI on a TV budget and time constraint, that's almost never gonna go well. If it's all, and that was literally just the only real thing we saw was when he punched the countertop. Yeah. But other than that, it seems like you're just getting hints of him having some superpowers and blah, blah, blah,
yes. blah. And I think Marvel's always done a good job of this, but stacking the cast really helps. Again, we've yet to see Ed Harris in any of the trailers.
Yeah.
One of, an acting icon and an American treasure. He's in this show, and there's been some rumors that he's playing an agent or something like that. But I love that. Feels like a contained story. We'll see. Again, we haven't seen the show. We don't know. Yeah. I am also bummed out it will be binge dropped, but only because it feels like it will come and go in the zeitgeist, and maybe we don't get to live within it. But maybe we start watching this and they're 20-minute episodes, and we kind of want to pound through all of them in 2 nights.
Yeah. That's true. And I do think that maybe Disney is starting to sort of rethink. It seems like a lot of these that they're just dropping all at once, like Eyes of Wakanda, Ironheart, Echo. They dropped all 3 of those all at once, and now Wonderman. It seems like maybe they're burning off certain properties, and we'll sort of better think this out in the future. Yes. A lot of these are sort of either pre-strike shows or at least shows that were greenlit pre-strike. And I think since the strikes, they've had to sort of replan some things. So I hope going forward, they're hey, word of mouth on the internet when we do a weekly drop versus a binge drop is much better. Let's just do that from now on. That's my hope, at least.
Yes. And we will see with Vision Quest.
Yes.
Which is the next live action show. Or Daredevil Born Again Season 2.
Yes.
Will follow shortly after Wonderman.
Which will be a weekly drop like Season 1.
Yes. And then we'll see with Vision Quest. And just going forward, what is the Disney Plus Marvel model going to look like? What are they committed to? It seems like with Daredevil, they want shows where they can do multiple seasons. Yeah. Right? And maybe that is one reason they've binge dropped the shows. If it either tells a complete story or they feel we're not going to do more seasons of this, let's just put it out like a TV movie or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. Yes. Yeah, shows with multiple seasons, they'll usually. But again, Agatha All Along was 1 season and they did a weekly drop for that one. So...
Yeah, it's strange. Well, hopefully all will be revealed. A couple other, we are legally required to do at least 3 pieces of news to make it a headline show. We got news this week that House of the Dragon will wrap after season 4. Mm-hmm. Season 3 coming sometime later this year. We don't have a release date. Mm-hmm. And then there'll be one more season that'll kind of tell the full story of House of the Dragon. Makes sense. It's based on a single book. Yeah. So it's not open-ended, right? They will... The green and the black will meet their conclusion at a certain point.
And also if you've read the book or even watched Game of Thrones, you sort of know how things are going to end. I mean, it's all in the storytelling, but you sort of know.
I kind of appreciate they're not we could squeeze 6 seasons out of this novel or something like that. Right. And also it's also a show that is they could have flexibility with their episode counts, right?
That's true. I'm sure also those actors, it seems like a grueling show to sort of shoot. I'm sure those actors want to go on and do other things at this point. I'm sure there's a lot of big name actors in it. I'm sure they want to do other stuff. Also, the Game of Thrones world, the House of the Dragon world, you can have endless. Yeah. They got a Night of the Seven Kingdoms coming out.
And I'm sure they're fast at work at other spinoffs to replace House of the Dragon. I doubt HBO is planning for any year without Game of Thrones for the foreseeable future. Now that
they've got those CGI dragons designed, they're going to use them.
Yes. And then we did get a little, James Gunn be tweeting. And so, right here, he did an interview recently talking about Man of Tomorrow, the 2027 release, and the next time we will see Superman in theory, unless we see him in Supergirl, I guess. He did an interview with Variety talking about the film, he said, at its core, it's about Clark and Lex. I relate to both of them. I relate to Lex's ambition and obsession, minus the murder, of course. He has to add that.
Yeah,
I don't know. He might also relate to the murder.
My lawyer made me say that.
Yeah. And I relate to Superman's belief in people, his Midwestern values. They're two sides of me. Interesting. Again, we continue to get little dribs and drabs, not necessarily about the plot or whatever, but also, excuse me, I assume we've talked about this since the Brainiac role has been cast.
Yeah.
I recently watched the Netflix George Clooney, Adam Sandler film, Jay Kelly. The guy cast as Brainiac has a very small role in that film. I think he's an actor of some foreign extraction, I believe, of Scandinavian, Denmark, Norway, something like that. Maybe Germany. I don't know, but he has a name I can't pronounce. And but maybe up and coming, interesting to give him a big beefy villain role. But that's kind of been James Gunn's MO.
I was going to say, James Gunn is really good at spotting talent that like you've seen here and there, but maybe hasn't. And also like alternatively, like spotting people who can do something that maybe you even with like Rocket Raccoon, he was like, oh, let me take this hunky actor. You never see his face. I'm going to turn him into a raccoon.
Make him do a Philly accent that is not his normal voice.
Like an East Coast accent, and he's going to nail it. Yeah. And by the third movie, you're going to be like, if this fucking raccoon dies, I will kill everyone in this theater. So like he's really good at spotting things in certain actors. Also,
there's a rich history of relatively obscure European actors making very good villains.
Yeah.
Your Gary Oldmans, your Mads Mikkelsens, your Christoph Waltzes, the bench is deep with Euro bad guys.
Just inherently mistrustful of anyone with a German accent.
A little bit of an accent and Aryan features. I guess, and then lots of Brits too, make, your Jeremy Irons.
Right. If they sound smarter than us, we're like, what's this person doing? Are they trying to kill me?
Yeah, our New World chip on the shoulder.
Yeah, exactly.
Leads us to distrust all of them.
This person sounds fancy.
I'm garbage. So
yeah.
Again, we have over a year until we probably even hit the full-blown press cycle for that. We have 2 more DC films ahead of that. But I guess as that movie starts going into production, presumably sometime this year, we'll get a lot more Man of Tomorrow news. I think that's a good place to wrap up, Gina.
Yeah.
Let me make sure there's no...
when I open my Instagram DMs, are you going to be threatening to kill me?
Nothing but love. I want a straight whisper on Twitch saying on Wonderman, will this version of Simon have a connection to Wanda? Also, somewhere they might change him to a mutant. Would track with anti-superhero sentiment in Hollywood. Interesting. I seriously doubt the Wanda connection.
Yeah, I think it's like everyone always asks this when a show or a movie comes out. It's like, oh, in the comics they have a connection, and it's like there's a billion years worth of comics, so at some point they have a connection to everyone.
Yes.
And I think the sort of like especially Disney Plus model is to be like, we get people of the comics. We don't want you to have read the comics to find this entertaining.
Yes. And in the comics, Wonder Man is very much a Avengers character.
Right.
It's introduced as an antagonist to the Avenger. He becomes an Avenger. Now, this version of Wonder Man there could be Avengers potential in his future.
Yeah.
But I don't think his origin or his backstory will have anything to do with the Avengers.
I think they want this to be as like low lift entry as possible, so that like when someone tells their friend like, hey, you should watch it, it's really funny. No, you don't have to have seen all the other things.
You don't need to have watched Iron Man 2. You don't need to have or 3, right? Don't worry about it. Trust me, Ben Kingsley is fun, even if you didn't watch Shang-Chi. Right? Totally. A couple other shout-outs we want to give. Hermes Wormies sending out 1 gift sub on Twitch. Thank you, Hermes. Salte, 20-month sub. 20 months in the year I turned 20. Let's go. So excited for this year. Salte, you young, beautiful thing. Blessings to you on your 20th year. Tankenstein 42 with a 16-month sub on Twitch. Sweet 16, even though I have been here since the beginning, just not always subbed. Hey, we appreciate you whether you're subbed or you just watching Tankenstein. And then, and I think that got to everybody. Hey, thank you, everybody. A little announcement. Probably should have made this earlier in the show. But so kind of our plan in 2026. And as with everything, it's subject to change. We're going to be experimenting and finding things that work and things that you enjoy. But the plan is We're going to keep doing a live stream on Monday. For now, that probably looks a lot like this, hitting headlines, things like that. We're going to do some shows throughout the week that may or may not be live. We're still aiming for 3 video uploads on the Breakroom YouTube channel, playing with new formats, playing with some formats from the past that we really loved. We still might, depending on the season, be hitting an after show for a show that's really in the zeitgeist, maybe doing some reactions, all the kind of stuff that you have loved about the past couple years of Breakroom, you'll still find there. Some of those are not going to be live streamed for various reasons, production-y, and because we've had a lot of conversations about we live stream things. We're not necessarily taking advantage of the language of live stream. We are not always as engaged with the chat because of how we shoot this and things like that. So we're going to be mixing in with those formats you know and love, some more live stream focused streams. If you're around before the holidays, producer Brian did a stream. We're going to be doing more of that. Brian might be joined by people or like be exploring formats there. But the plan is to try to do those on Tuesdays and Thursdays with kind of the formats you know and love from Breakroom being Monday, Wednesday, Friday, not always live streamed. Okay. So that's kind of our plan for now. Again, that will grow and change and we'll learn and adapt as the year goes on. Feel free to let us, give us feedback as we try these things, what you're liking, what you're digging, things like that. Obviously,
we're a small crack crew here at New Rockstars / the Breakroom / the Witching Hour. So a lot of us are like pulling double and triple duty. So we want to make sure we're covering as many shows as possible. We've been branching out to things like Severance and Pluribus, maybe The Pit. And there's a lot of good stuff this year. So we just want to make sure we have time for it all so that poor producer Brian doesn't have to sleep on the couch back here in the Breakroom set.
That's right. I'm tired of seeing his toothbrush in the company bathroom. And because that's a great point, Gina, because there's so much to cover and so much to talk about, we want to kind of fit the IP to the format that makes the most sense, right? And so that's why we're kind of just like reevaluating the way we've been doing things and trying to improve and do things better in 2026. We hope you will be there with us as much as you can. We appreciate you, everybody that's been watching, commenting, chatting, everything throughout the last 2 years of Breakroom. 3 years? God, how long has it been going? I've been there from the beginning, but it's all a blur. So we appreciate you. Happy 2026 to you. Anything else we should add, Gina?
No, we're not going anywhere. So keep tuning in.
Hell yeah. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.